Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of One Piece. The Alabasta arc is almost over. Vivi has to make a decision: join the crew or be left behind. They're heading for the port where where they expect to pick her up, and she's got to get there, and she has a short amount of time to get there. Meanwhile, Bon Clay was able to reconcile with Luffy and the crew, because as he pointed out, he didn't know that they were the ones they were hunting when they first encountered each other, and he still sees them as friends, and oddly enough, Luffy without hesitation makes them friends. All was forgiven, and Bon Clay showed the ultimate of friendship by covering Luffy and the crew as they came across the Navy and basically lost his ship and crew. Bon Clay went down with his ship and crew as Luffy and the gang was able to press forward. So, of course, this is shonen, so Bon Clay and his crew is not dead. Also, we find that Django and Iron Fist both became Marines, serving under Nina. We got to meet another admiral named Nina, who's got crazy power, apparently. I think she's got a crazy power, who knows, but nevertheless, the Navy is still after them, and hopefully Bon Clay was successful ultimately in the end. So yeah, there we go. So what's gonna happen to close out this arc, and what's gonna be the next adventure? Well, just comment, like, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification bell, and let's get reading. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 216, Vivi's Adventure. During the flashback, Vivi stood before Igarapoi and argued.
You don't know who's behind the rebellion.
No, it's an underground organization. Not even its members know the identity of the ringleader.
So, they're the ones that trying to overthrow the kingdom?
Since no one knows who the leader is, Igarapoi says. He sat down on the couch. There's no way for us to find out from the outside. Any further inquiries will be too risky for the kingdom.
But you have a lead, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Oh no, he thought to himself, as he noticed her large forehead furled a smirk. I've said too much.
Igaram.
She caressed his cheek and leaned in towards him.
Do you know what I'm thinking?
Sex?
No!
I don't know. I have to get to work.
Igaram.
No, this isn't a game. He ran off and backed himself by the door. It's deadly business.
I know that, Igaram, but I can't sit idly by while they destroy Alabasta.
Present day, all the palace guards stood at attention at the sound of a trump, and walking down the red carpet through the main entrance was the princess herself, making her way up to the top of the stairs. All the subjects looked up with glee as they screamed out, "Look, it's the princess!" Huh. And as everyone cheered on, and Luffy and the crew were having their skirmish with the Marines on their way towards port. The lieutenant screams out, What are you doing? It's only one ship. They're too strong, Lieutenant. Our cannons aren't stopping them. They screamed out as the ships explode everywhere and masts collapse over as the merry-go continues to float by. Get out of my way, dude! Luffy screamed out. Princess Vivi! Meanwhile, the crowd screamed out as the princess stood before the balcony with a snail phone attached to multiple speakers. Princess
princess! Look how she's grown. Rah!
The crowd screamed out as the clock struck 12. She closed her eyes with a smile and thought of her flashback. "And I just have one question for you, Princess Vivi," Igrapoise said, as she reminisced.
It all started that day.
"Do you have the resolve to stay alive?" She remembered him planting his hand on her shoulder and looking her right in the eyes with that question. When she opened her eyes and saw the crowd, she realized,
I've been on an adventure.
"Hey!" the crowd said.
The princess is speaking. Her friend is so alive for this. She's really alive. Let her leave. The ceremony's starting. She was supposed to speak 2 hours ago. Why the delay?
The king sat by, listening in on the event. "I hope the people don't riot," he said. And the old man peeked out the window where Koza was recovering from his injury. Koza, hurry, it's begun. Vivi's giving her speech." "Well, I could have been a contender. The loudspeakers are at full blast. The whole town couldn't hear, Father." Vivi grabbed the speaker, which was more like a CB radio speaker, and brought it close to her voice, and she spoke.
It was a journey of hope across a sea of despair. I left Alabasta and set sail upon the vast, dark ocean. I visited unbelievably amazing islands. I saw creatures I'd never imagined and landscapes out of a dream. At times, the sound of the ocean waves was soothing, gently enveloping me and easing my cares. She continued as the crowd stood enthralled at her story. At other times, it was harsh, mocking me and playing on my fears. But in the darkness of the storm, I encountered a little ship. It gave me a push and said, "Don't you see that light?" That strange little ship never lost its way, even in the dark. She continued as her father took a sip of his tea. It would dance on the giant waves. It didn't resist the tugs of the tide, but sailed ahead through the roughest headwinds. And pointing forward, it said, "Look, there's the light." In time, historians will say it's just a legend, but for me, that was the truth. "What's she talking about?" the crowd said. "It's the untold story of her struggle," the old man said. "And?" She smiled. Over at the east port of Tamarisk. "Did you hear that speech?" Solo said. That was Phoebe's voice. "It's the broadcast of the ceremony from Alabama. She's not coming." "Vivi," Chopper said, as Luffy slouched over the banister. "That was just somebody pretending to be Vivi." "Let's go. It's past noon already." "Vivi's coming, dude." Luffy looked back angrily. "Let's drop anchor and go look for her. She's gotta be here." "Oh, no," Usopp said, pointing out at the ocean. "The Navy's coming." "How many ships are there?" "Set sail. Take the helm. Give it up, Luffy," Sanji said and took a long puff of his smoke. "She can't just leave like that." Back at Alabama, the crowd screamed out, "What's the big idea? Let us see your face, your phony. Or rather, Lord Igaram. Where's the real Princess Baby?" And there stood Princess Igaram. Oh my gosh. As the crowd threw barrels and tomatoes and and pillows at him as he stood tall and proud. "Where's the princess speaking from?" "Right now, the princess is..." "You guys!" she screamed out from the distance, running up the hill as the merry-go was already setting sail. "Vivi dude!" Luffy screamed out. "Koro!" Usopp smiled as the duck waved at them. Quack, with Vivi by his side. "I told you she'd come, dudes." "Turn the ship around! Hurry!" "Ah, Vivi!" "Vivi!"
Sanji smiled with hearts for eyes. The Navy is right on the trail. Chopper screamed out, and she smiled.
I've come to say goodbye.
And the wind laughed at the whole crew. Ooh. What did you say? What did she say, dudes?
Carol, the microphone.
Carwack. And the duck handed her the microphone, and she turned it on.
I can't go with you. Thank you for everything.
The crowd was shocked as they heard her voice. Who is she talking to? The crowd whispered. What? The Marine said. The Prince of Alabasta. She's supposed to be at the ceremony in Alabama. And Luffy watched on in shock.
I like to continue my adventures, but when it comes down to it,
she smiled on.
I love this kingdom.
And the crowd roared, hooray! Hooray! As people of the crowd screamed out, where's the princess? We came for the princess. Looking good, Commander. Get it all on Ingram. Ha 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 ha. Commander. But one of the guards screamed out as they all tried to make sense of what was going on. But Vivi continued on speaking to Luffy and the crew.
So I can't go.
And Luffy smiled. I see, dude. And suddenly, tears fell down and started dripping off her face, as she as she was hit by a flashback.
An X would be a good symbol.
Why? An X would be a good symbol.
Why?
Because we're pirates.
But the X originally signified a death threat.
That's okay. An X is good, dude. It's cool, right, Vivi?
I like it, Luffy.
Whatever, just draw it. We've got more important things to worry about. Vivi, wiping away her tears, remembering those happy moments she was with them, and saw Luffy smile big as he presented the X mark on his arm from their initial plan to make sure they wouldn't get tricked they're tricked from Baroque Works. I'm a little emotional here. All right, he said with a big grin on his face.
I'm going to stay here. But if we ever see each other again, will you call me your shipmate?
As tears continued to flood her face, and as the merry-go sailed onward into the sea, Luffy smiled. Did you hear that? The Marine said. The princess in cahoots with the Straw Hat Pirates. The princess belonged to that pirate gang? No way. Someday we'll... And immediately Nami grabbed his mouth and shut it closed.
Ah, idiot. Don't say anything. The Navy is watching Vivi. If we give them proof that she's our friend, they'll brand her a criminal.
And Luffy's sweat built up around his forehead. The crew, of course, lowered their heads, knowing what they were about to do to her. But they also knew the bigger picture. And Nami rubbed his back, gently consoling his feelings.
Let's just leave. Let's just quietly take our leave.
And as she watched on, her heart was starting to break. As she watched the merry-go disappear into the ocean, and Karu merely responded with quack. But without any hesitation, they all raised their fists in the air, exposing the X marks on their left forearms. She saw it, and she got it. The message was received, and her smile became as bright as the sun itself. No matter what happens from here on, our left arms will bear to sign our fellowship, dude. Let's sail. And Princess Phoebe and Coral raised their fists up in the air in return. And the Jolly Roger and their Jolly Roger began flapping in the wind as the Marines began their pursuit of Luffy and the gang into the vast sea of the Grand Line. To be continued, One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 217, Stowaway. Hina's ship continued sailing in pursuit of Luffy and the Merry Goat. As the sea waves were getting a little choppy looking, and the birds flew across the sky, one of the crewmen spoke. Lady Hina, look out! There's still a few of them left.
Hina, there's a few idiots.
But who? Yourself? And she delivered a kick, delivered a punch right into the gut of one of the pirates that swung at her. You won't check me out without a fight. And the whole sword clanged into the floor, missing her completely. And she got right under his gut, somehow curving her arm around his body. Whoa, that's so amazing. It's the power of the bind fruit. Everything that passes through my body becomes bound, Iron Fist said. Say it. Say your motto. Jambone. I'm a mad at you, a smoker. The guy screamed out. As Iron Fist and Django watched on and cheering her, she sits on the pirate, completely stuck in place, and she talks him on the phone. For what? A lot of reasons come to mind. Because the Straw Hat got away. What's this? A steel band? The pirate screamed out as she sat on him and continued talking. And you seem pretty happy about it. Back at Alabaster, the crowd was trying to figure out what was going on. Hey, who was she talking to? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Wasn't Princess Vivi's speech wonderful? Sure was. We have to do our part. Even though we're just a little folk. How can you say that? The crowd cheered on. All right, let's start rebuilding. And the crowd cheered. Meanwhile, the karate otters continued training with each other as the birds flew over and made their way to a thriving town that was full of laughter. What's so funny, Toto? You haven't stopped laughing since you heard the speech. I can't say it's a secret. Did all those sandstorms out of your brain, old man? I can't say. It's a secret. Take care, Luffy. Come back someday and have a drink of Yuba water. Cosette, still recovering from his injuries, leaned out the window with a smile on his face as the sun beamed down on him. What are you people waiting for? What are you waiting for, people? Dig for water. Okay. And as they began digging for water, one of the crocodiles started marching through the desert. You hear things are bad in Alabama. We'll go there. We have to hurry and claim Yuba from the desert. It's an important crossroads in the west. All the canals of the Sandora River need to be repaired too. Hey, what about the casino? Who cares? It's closed. Let's go, you guys. Meanwhile, the sand crab started shuffling his way across the desert. I'm a sand crab. I'm walking across the sand. Meanwhile, further into the town. And Dad, she said to me, Father, I have something very important to tell you. I'm a king, but no title is dearer to me than that of a father. What do you say, Your Majesty? The crowd started laughing and cheering as Igarappoi and the king stood before their crowd in the capital. Man, oh, Lord Chaka, with his arms wide open, spoke on. Pal, I can't believe you're gone. I can't even shed a tear. Why is she dead, I wonder? As he stood before the gravestone of Pell, one of the few people who actually die in One Piece and stay dead. And the wind blew right past him, and he looked up into the sky. Pell. And there he saw in the distance someone on a duck, watching down at everybody. And this cannons, meanwhile, cannons exploded, and it was the Marines firing at the merry-go. Princess Phoebe watched on with Kato as the ships disappeared further into the horizon. The camera was special. I guess that's what Princess Phoebe said. The guard says they stared at eyelashes, munching away at the food. And it's a candidate for the Supersonic Duck Squadron. But it's just a stupid camel, yeah. And at a hospital, the doctor tended to his patient in the middle of the desert. All right, thanks for everything. And you get home, get lots of rest. So impatient. Huh? Yeah. And suddenly, hey! He screamed out, you, wait, you forgot your headscarf. Meanwhile, at the shores, Princess Phoebe looked at Kuro and said,
All right, Kuro.
And he nodded. And Vivi smiled happily.
Let's go home to Alabama.
And Kuro screamed out, Quack. As other countries watched in amazement, the King of Alabasta recovered with astounding speed. Meanwhile, out in the ocean, the merry-go sailed as a marine ship was sailing very quietly. There was a loud check, and Tashiki stepped out from the galley.
Captain Snoker?
Hey, little lady, how's the luck?
Please don't call me that.
He poured her a cup of coffee as she approached the chair.
Thanks,
she said, and sat down, looking at the wanted posters of Zolo and Luffy.
I saw the wanted posters. There's quite a bounty on these two. You know what this swordman did?
You mean Oronozola? Oh. He defeated 100 bounty hunters at Whiskey Peak, and he brought down Daz Bones in Alabama, and he took 2 puffs of his cigar.
Daz Bones, the assassin?
The bounty hunter from the West Blue. He was calling himself Mr. One. Crocodile surrounded himself with an army of extraordinarily dangerous criminals, but they lost. Tashigi took a sip of her coffee as Mr. Smoker continued on. As for the Straw Hat Gang, we'll settle things with them another day.
Yes, sir,
she said with determined eyes. Meanwhile, back at the merry-go. I guess the Navy isn't coming after us, dude. Usopp said. I think we lost them. Come on, Solo said. Is that all you can say? We miss Phoebe. They all cried out to Zolo. Quit crying. If you couldn't stand to leave her, then you should have kidnapped her. That would have been the perfect excuse. Sure, the bounty would have been higher, but at least you would have had her. But the barbarian, your man, must head 3-sword style. Wait, Luffy, Usopp said. That's not an insult. Then 4-sword style then, dude. That's not any better. Listen, try Nato. Tell me things like Nato. Fine. Solo raised his hand up. Ball your heads off. And that's when the door opened.
Well, it's about time. I thought you'd never leave the oversized sandbox.
Yeah, huh? And everybody leaned over and freaked out. The merry-go shook a little bit as the waves crashed about. Here to avenge your comrades, eh? Well, bring it on. Solo unsheathed his sword.
What are you doing here?
She freaked out. Nami screamed out, What a babe! Sanji smiled with hearts for eyes. Anime raid! Anime raid! Usopp panicked as he ran all over the place. Whoa! Chopper said. Who is she? Huh? Oh, it's you. Dude, you're still alive? And walking into the middle of the circle is Nico Robin, using her arm powers to disarm everybody.
Oh, dude, don't point those things at me. I told you before.
Huh? A hand? Solo freaked out as he saw his sword get slapped off, and she just nonchalantly walked by and slapped Nami's staff off.
How long have you been on board? Well, a while. I was below deck reading that bit and took a shower. I bought these clothes. They're yours, right? How dare you! You bought Oakwood's witch!
Nami screamed out.
Oh, Mickey D. Luffy.
Huh?
You haven't forgot what you did to me, have you?
She smiled as Luffy was strangled by Sanji. Why you? What did you do to this beautiful woman, Luffy? As Usopp screamed out, "We don't want any trouble. Just get off the ship." Hey, don't lie, dude, Luffy said as Sanji continued to scruff his shirt. I didn't do anything to you.
I suffered a great deal because of you. Now take responsibility.
She sat down on the chair and reclined back. Who is she? Sanji continued shaking Luffy as Usopp continued screaming, "Please leave or I'll call the Navy." Luffy asked once more, "What do you want anyway, dude?"
I want to join your crew.
She smiled as she rested her head on her hand. And everyone freaked out except for Zolo, who just crossed his arms. And they all screamed out, "What?" To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 218, Why the Log Post is Dome-Shaped. In the flashback, there was a rumble from the secret chamber collapsing over everybody.
Here, make him drink this right away.
And a pop vial rolled right over to the king.
It's the antidote to crocodile's poison.
And the king was silent.
Even if he gets buried under all the rubble, his rubbery body should save him.
And the king remained silent as he remembered in another flashback of what she said.
It's not recorded here. This is just the history of the kingdom.
What? The king looked back at her. Why did you lie?
You know, how disappointing.
She replied back. The history of Alabama wasn't carved on that stone. It had all the information about the weapon you were after, even its whereabouts. If you had told him that what was written there, it would have been the end. The kingdom would have fallen into his hands. The king proceeded to give Luffy the antidote as the pirate lay flat on the ground, unconscious.
I don't care about kingdoms or people's lives. None of that matters to me.
She said. She sat down and nursing her wound.
But I had no intention of giving Crocodile the weapon.
I don't understand, the king replied. Then why did you come here?
Events don't always line up to one's expectations,
she said.
I was looking for the real poneglyph. Among the many poneglyphs that exist in the world, it's the only one that recounts the true history.
True history? What do you mean? She closed her eyes and took a long, deep breath.
It doesn't matter. For 20 years, I've been searching for it. I have no more leads to go on. This is my last hope. But it wasn't the one. I have nothing more to live for. I may as well die here. I'm tired of this life. All I wanted was to know the true history.
The king was very quiet as he listened on.
Too many obstacles stood between me and my dream.
She smiled as a tear dropped down her eye, and the king gasped. Tell me something. Do you mean, can these scripts be spun together to tell an untold history? Is that what the poneglyphs are? And she smiled.
If so, then what are we?
And that's when the king felt a loud whap. It turned out to be Luffy, picking him up along with Robin over his shoulder. Okay, dudes, Luffy said. Let's get out of here. Are you?
Ah, stop. I don't want to live. Leave me here.
Why should I listen to you? Luffy looked up at the ceiling as it continued to collapse down onto them. And at the merry-go, Nico Robin continued on.
I wanted to die, and you made me live. That's your crime. I have nowhere to go and nowhere to return to. So let me join your crew.
Luffy replied, well, I guess it can't be helped, dude. Okay. And the crew screamed out, Luffy! Don't worry, Luffy smiled. She's not a bad person, guys. And and as the crew went about their business, Nico sat before Usopp at a table with the lamp shining right in her face, even though they were outdoors on a bright sunny day.
I was an archaeologist by the time I was 8. Then I had a bounty put on my head. An archaeologist? I come from a family of them. For the next 20 years, I hid from the government. But a child can't live on the high seas alone. I survived by joining various outlaw gangs. As a result, I became an expert at operating in the shadows. I can be a big help to you. Oh, you're very confident.
Usopp rubbed his chin.
What's your specialty? Assassination! Oh!
Usopp freaked out.
Luffy, upon interrogating her, I've concluded she's too dangerous.
Luffy was being moved around with Chopper by Nico's hands and arms.
Did you guys hear me?
Usopp screamed as they were being tickled by Nico Robin's powers, and she smiled gleefully.
She's already won them all, the idiots,
Nami said as she crossed her arms and looking down from above the deck.
How foolish. A few days ago she was the vice president of Baroklax. What woman was Crocodile's partner? That woman was Crocodile's partner. You may have fool Luffy, but you can't fool me. You make one more move and I'll throw you out. Yes, I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind. By the way, I brought a few crocodile gems with me. Oh, sister, I love you.
Nami immediately leaned into Nico as she was presented a bag full of jewels.
Hey!
Usopp screamed out as Solo watched on horror.
Nami's hooked too.
What a dirty trick, Luffy said.
I laugh.
Oh, love! Sanji screamed out as he started pirouetting and dancing around while holding a bowl of soup.
Oh, drifting love, I am but a charred piece of driftwood, floating along your current.
And there goes Sanji, Solo said, crossing his arms.
He never had a chance. The thunderbolt of your beauty has struck me. I am but a driftwood, being splintered by the rapids. I made you a snack. Oh, thank you.
She smiled as she was presented the meal. I guess it's up to you and me to be strong.
What a bunch of pushovers.
The two of them stood tall.
Usopp, huh?
I'm Chopper, dude. He started laughing as he saw Nico Robin's hands spring out of Luffy's head, making the shape of antlers.
This is nice. Is it always like this?
She asked Solo. Pretty much.
I see.
She smiled.
Hehe.
What's her game? Solo thought to himself. Dude, what's your log post course, navigator?
The head. West by northwest, Robin.
Oh, that was Robin speaking. Oh, okay.
What's your log post course, navigator? Oh, ahead west by northwest would all been.
She gave you. Oh gosh, she gave you a gem, didn't she? Solo said.
Sanji, how about a snack?
Give me a minute. Nami, dude, do you think the next island will be snowy? Luffy smiled as he leaned over the banister.
Have you had enough snow? Haven't you had enough snow, boy? At the Alabasta,
Nico said.
And Autumn Island should be coming up next.
Great, dude. I like Autumn too. As a strange, weird plink landed on the banisters, Solo, lifting iron and pumping iron, noticed it. Rain? And everyone held their hands up. It's not rain! Rice crackers? Usopp said. Oh, something's falling. And fell it did. All sorts of debris. Everybody noticed as parts of a ship started and splinters and other stuff continued to fall on top of them. Anything man can imagine is a possibility in reality. Little Karen physicist quoted this as a giant ship with a big giant mouth with razor sharp teeth, 100 times larger than the merry-go, plummeted right down at them, upside down, and right to crush them all. Dude, out of the sky.
A galleon. Oh!
Oh! And Nico watched in horror with everyone as the large ship crashed right next to the merry-go, missing it by inches. But the waves was disturbed and caused the ship to rock violently side to side. Whoa! Chopper screamed out as everyone held on. Grab onto something. What's going on, dude? What is this? It's a dream. It's a bad dream. A dream that's a relief. There's more coming down. Look out. And coming down they did.
Hold on.
What good will that do? Zolo screamed out. Luffy, protect the ship. She'll break up. Okay, dude. Usopp. Don't worry. Just relax and close your eyes. Usopp continued meditating and praying. Then slowly opened them. See? It's a nice, peaceful morning. And it was a pair of bones coming right at him. Oh! A skull! Don't throw it this way, you fool. It's still coming down. Skeletons! No! And it stopped. The merry-go floated right before the shipwreck as it began to sink into the sea. Dude, Luffy looked up at the sky. Why is it raining ships? It's crazy. There's nothing up there. What's wrong, Nami? Sanji said and took a long puff of his cigarette.
What the log poles?
And it was pointing up.
It's broken. It's pointing upward and not unmoving. It's not broken.
Nico replied.
The magnetic field of another island has made it switch headings. And if it's pointing skyward, that can only mean one thing. Our log post has been captured by a sky island.
She looked up at the sky with sweat pouring down her face. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Chapter 219. Masira, the Salvage King.
Sky Island.
What's that? Is this island floating? Everybody was left with so many questions, so much disbelief as the merry-go floated along the shipwreck that fell from the sky, raining bones and death and all sorts of destruction. Usopp screamed out, "Is that where the ship and the skeletons fell from?" I don't see any islands up there.
It's not just the island. It's the sea that's floating in the sky. Ugh, the sea? Now I'm even more confused.
And Usopp, Chopper, and Luffy screamed out, "Wow!" as they were amazed at the idea. The sea floats in the sky, and there's an island on it. Dudes, let's go! Come on, guys, raise the prow! Raise the prow! And Nico immediately used her powers to shut the two of them up. Captain, we can't raise the prow.
Actually,
Nico Robin said,
I've never seen the Sky Island, and I don't know very much about it. Ugh, but that's impossible. How can an island or the ocean float in the air? The log post must be broken. No, navigator. No, navigator. It's not the log post. What we have to figure out now is how we get up to the sky. Oh.
Huh? And he noticed Luffy and Usopp on board the wrecked ship. What are they doing? They're searching.
No matter what happens to the ship, no matter what kind of crisis we face, we must never suspect the log post. That is essential. If we doubt anything that the seas, it should be our senses. There will always be an island wherever that need points.
And they looked at the log post, continuing to point upward. Nami leaning into the mast, shaking the log post, trying to see what it's doing. Meanwhile, Chopper is gripping onto the mast, for hiding behind it. What's she doing? What that the coffin? Any clues? Zolo said with his arms crossed as he watched Nico and Sanji watch it as Nico did forensics on the corpse.
Well, you have weird interests.
Nami said, "A skeleton and a pretty woman, what a combination!" Hey, you put it together. And Nico planted the newly rebuilt skull. And she noticed a hole and started caressing it.
This hole is my mate.
So that's what killed him?
No, these are the marks of brain surgery. Right, ship's doctor?
Yes, Chopper agreed. A long time ago, people used to make holes in the skull to relieve the pressure of tumors, but nobody does that anymore. This man died 200 years ago. He was in his mid-30s. He got sick on the high seas and died. Compared to these others, his teeth were preserved. Probably due to the tar on them. His clothes are unique to a particular area of the South Blue. I'd say that ship was old exploration vessel.
Here it is.
Nico started flipping through the pages of the book.
The St. Brice from the South Blue Kingdom of Brice set sail 208 years ago. That's the ship that fell on us.
She showed with its large mast of a directional symbol etched on it, and a serpent's head with its sharp teeth.
It's the same symbol. So the ship has been sailing in the skies for 200 years. You figured all that out from a bunch of boards? They say dead man tells no tales, but that's not always true.
Nico continued.
If it was an exploration ship, there should be lots of records aboard. But it's sinking. Goofy, hey God,
help it.
What are you idiots doing?
Hey, you guys. Luffy smiled as he got on board the ship covered in seawater. We did it. I found something amazing. And he presented it to them. Look at this. Ta-da. And everyone was in shock. It was a map that said Skypiea on it, showing mountains, palm trees, forests, clouds, octopus and seagulls, and smaller islands that surrounded it. It's a map of a sky island.
Skypiea.
Right, dude? Is there really a sky island? We did it, Usopp. Luffy screamed out. There is a Sky Island. Chopper, Usopp said. A dream island. We're going to a dream island. A dream island? That sounds cool.
Ugh, don't get too excited,
she said as she folded the map up.
We don't know anything for sure. There are a lot of fake maps in the world. Oh, sorry.
She noticed that the three of them completely traumatized at the prospect that it might not be real and their dreams crushed.
It's okay. I'm sure it's real. But we just don't know how to get there.
She screamed out loud. You're our navigator, aren't you? Do something.
Nami, take it easy on the ship,
he said as he watched Nami punch the mast.
There are even some things I can't do.
It's easy, just sail up to the sky. Nami's beautiful when she's angry.
This is useless. We're getting nowhere. The needle's still pointing up.
She continued looking at the log post as the captain laid flat on the ground from Nami's punch.
Robin's Knight, we need more information. If that hill ship was up there, then there must be the way for us to get up there too. Let's search the wreck for the records. But it sank. Then we'll just have to salvage it.
And Luffy and Usopp screamed out,
"Yeah!"
with fists in the sky, with fists in the air. And Solo yelled out, "That's impossible!" Chopper looked over at Nico, Robin, and asked, what's a salvage mean?"
Raising a second ship. But it's impossible. That ship's too big.
Aha, dude, Luffy says he slipped into a barrel suit with rubber gloves attached and a porthole. Wow, dude. You really like to put us in
danger, huh?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that just looks so hilarious. You really like to put us in danger, huh, dudes? Solo was completely quiet as half of his body was covered in beryl, and Sanji in his barrel danced around with his legs. I promise to find you a way up to the sky, Nami.
I'm counting on you.
She smiled at him.
Have no fear. My engineering is flawless.
And Usopp's newest design in underwater technology consists of barrels as suits. And suddenly, a giant fish jumped out from underneath the waves and chomped on one of the birds that was just one of the pterodactyls that was just floating by, minding its own business. Oh my gosh, that fish killed Bob! No, not Bob! And the two pterodactyls flew away, leaving him behind.
We'll let the family know.
Meanwhile, the cranes have started lowering Luffy, Solo, and Sanji right down into into the ocean. Nami screamed, said,
"Good luck, you guys!"
as they continue to sink downward below the depths. They pass by floating turtles and a gigantic serpent tank. They were all as big as the islands themselves. As they all thought to themselves, "Hey! This is a job, a place to report," he said as he spoke through the communication funnels while controlling the crane. "This is Luffy, dudes. There are a lot of monsters down over here. Is this the lair of giant sea snakes? This is Sanji! Yikes! It's looking at us!"
They're okay. Okay!
Usopp was shocked at her statement.
They'll be fine. Don't be such a worry one. Chopper, hold tight to the brake.
Okay, I got the brake here.
I'm glad I didn't go with them. Salvage, salvage.
Nico Robin watched on in disgust as they hear more singing Salvage! Salvage! And loud clangings that over and over again in tweets. Usopp pulled up he lowered one of his telescope binocular scopes and looked outward. What's that? And in the distance, cymbals clanged onward and onward, and a whistle was blowing to the sound of tweet, 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 and something large just approached the merry-go to the laughter of the wind. Woo! Have to. It was a giant monkey mask with symbols on it. Bananas for the Jolly Roger, with a monkey's head to it. There were palm trees and masks in the shape of bananas. Everything is a banana on the boat. Aye, aye, sir. Is this where the ship? Oh. Oh. We got a new character here. Masira. Oh yeah, you know what? Let's give it a squeaky voice.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Is this where the ship sank?
Aye, aye, boss.
Boss? That's me! Prepare to raise the ship! The sunken ship is mine! Geek.
Salvage King Maseda, boss of the Maseda pirates. His bounty, 23 million berry. Dressed in overalls with a banana chain attached to a chain belt, and a 90s style shirt with black sleeves over white. He looked like Donkey Kong with large fists and a bulging mass, with a pair of with sunglasses at the top and spiky hair, and his monkey tail swaying at the side. And his crew screamed out as they raised up their swords.
Why do we have to meet these clowns now? Hey, what are you doing here?
Masira said.
This is my territory. Territory? That's right. Any ship that sinks around here belongs to me.
His lips stretched out like putty.
You better not have messed with any of them. Huh? I think...
Nico Robin spoke.
I think he means to salvage the ship.
That's what he said. Usopp said, lowering down.
This could be lucky break for us. Quit talking amongst yourselves. Answer my question. Excuse me.
Nami waved at him.
May I ask you the question? You're asking the questions?
He freaked out.
All right, ask away. Sir, are you going to salvage the ship right now? What good manners. Do you think I warrant such admiration?
He smiled gleefully.
Admiration? I mean, do you think I'm handsome? Yeah? Is he serious? I'm so speechless. Well, is he going to salvage the ship? You don't even have to ask.
He screamed back. Masira screamed back.
If there's a sunken ship, I'm gonna bring it out. That's me. If it floats, I'll sink it and then bring it up. That's me. There's no ship we can't salvage. Ookiki. Then? Then, would you mind if we watch? Huh? Haven't you ever seen a salvage operation before? Alright. You can watch. Great. Let's see how he does it. Boss, we've got trouble.
Well, the crew said, as they found a crewman laying on the ground.
What is it?
These men went down to prepare the cradle at.
What? Did Neptunian get them?
No, but it looks like somebody beat them up. Somebody's down there.
What? Ugh, those guys.
This is bad.
They realized what happened. It turned out Luffy, Sanji, and Zolo beat them up.
Hey, you guys!
Yikes!
Oh, what? Be careful! There are some bad people down on the seafloor. Oh.
And Nami and Usopp immediately smiled and played their poker faces.
Okay. Lucky for us, he's an idiot.
Hurry up and set the cradle! Let's start salvaging!
Oh, aye, sir.
Meanwhile, Luffy smiled as a weird octopus creature latched onto Zolo, pissing him off, and Sanji, without his cigarette lit, smiled, looked in amazement as they approached the broken ship. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 220, A Walk on the Seafloor. Masira smiled and waved out at the merry crew, very gleefully and happy.
Oh, he's waving.
Nami whispered as she waved back.
Don't let them see the other pump, Usopp.
I won't.
He replied back as Chopper held on to the brake while Usopp continued to pump air for Luffy, Sanji, and Zolo.
Hey, you guys!
He grimaced. Masira clenched his teeth.
Just pretend they're pumpkins. Don't get excited. Don't be nervous just because we have observers, man.
Aye, aye! They smiled gleefully as they jumped around.
Why are they so nervous?
Ugh, maybe they're trying to impress us. Beware of the mysterious enemy below.
And his crew, his dive team jumped right into the water and began making their way to the boat.
Aye, aye, sir.
Down at the bottom of the ocean, Luffy and his team explored the shipwreck, picking up random items and observing what they are. Luffy discovered a strange jar with a serpent's head on it. It completely crumbled in his hands. The grandfather clock stopped at 1:15, and all sorts of devices and a mirror were lodged into the sand. Luffy dug his hands underneath the dirt and revealed some kind of cannon. As for Solo, he found himself a sword and pulled it open, but the blade broke into pieces. It was no longer usable. Meanwhile, there was a lot of kicking going on as Sanji broke through the wall and found himself inside a room. He approached it and found a picture of a young woman smiling in it, with the glass shattered. He looked around as Solo and Luffy made their way in, and he found the cloak with a wooden barb on it and a skull with a spear completely pierced into it. Suddenly, an octopus landed on top of Solo, and Luffy tried to get it off of him. They discovered a treasure chest. It said "Scent Bliss." They were able to. They noticed something. They opened it up and found nothing inside but a feather. They were very confused. Suddenly, something pierced right through the wall, catching them off guard. It was a strange whirring. Oh. There's something whirring up above.
Great, all set.
As the device was gotcha. A a giant claw. What is that? Huh? It was like jagged claws lodged into the ship, acting like a crane.
The crane all set.
The crewmate screamed out as it started as they started securing it.
What is this?
Oh snap, dude! Luffy, Solo, and Sanji screamed out, and Nami immediately covered the mouthpiece of the communication site. Masira immediately looked in their direction.
What was that? What is that? That monkey? What's that monkey for?
Oh, you mean this?
Masira smiled and answered,
Kiki, you have sharp eyes. This is no ordinary prow. Engage the Marco grabber.
and suddenly the prow jutted out the monkey's body, attached to a crane, stretching outward to the sound of monkey, monkey, monkey.
Aye, aye, sir. Oh!
It dove down and started making its way at the bottom. And and all Chopper and Usopp could do was gawk in amazement. Oh, wow, it's incredible.
It's amazing. Ah, what is? 40 meters to target. 30 meters. 20 meters.
The prow stretched its arms out and exposing the symbols. A pair of cupped openings in the symbols.
Sparkle grabber, link complete.
It attached itself to the crane that they had built, that they had attached to the ship.
All right.
Masira screamed out,
Prepare for inflation.
Aye, aye, sir. Okay. Ah, no way. He's going to raise the neck with his breath?
He took a loud, deep breath.
Ah, that's ridiculous.
And he immediately breathed right into it. A burst of air started flowing through the tube and made its way down. All the way down. And suddenly a balloon started stretching out, shocking Luffy and his team. Air, dude! With all his might, with all his lung power, Masira's veins bulged down and his face turned purple.
Oh, it's rising!
Usopp screamed out as the dudes, it's rising! Luffy screamed out as they watched as the shipwreck began to lift off up the ocean, fighting against the strength of the water.
Hey, pull it up! Aye, aye, sir.
More air. Don't slow down.
Aye, aye, sir.
They continued sending more air down as Luffy became frustrated. Ah, dude.
Boss, the underwater crew.
What? What happened, man?
There are people in the wreck.
Ah. Blast! I'll teach them to mess with my men. Rah! The scallywags.
He threw his fists up in the air and shook them up and down, ready to fight, and then he froze. He looked over at Nami and Usopp.
Ah, we're not taking pictures or anything.
What?
Was he posing just for us? Help us, ah!
I'm coming. Keep raising the ship.
Aye, aye, sir.
And Masira dove right off the ship and made his way down. A giant serpent spotted him and opened its mouth ready to bite. Masira looked back and started winding up his punch within the water.
Monkey punch.
He screamed out, leaving a massive dent in the serpent's cheeks, and pushed it away. It began to spiral out with blood splurting out of its mouth. Masira saw the shipwreck rising up.
It's coming up,
he thought to himself as he watched it continuing on and figuring out what's going on. Meanwhile, inside the ship, now devoid of water, Luffy sat on top of the barrel suits and smiled. See, dude, we don't even need the barrels now. They filled it full of air. I wonder who's trying to bring this up. I hope Nami and Robin are okay. They haven't been responding to my calls. And suddenly, the walls broke through. Oh yeah! Masira screamed out.
Who are you? How dare you invade my territory?
Hey, monkey dude.
Huh? You think I'm hunky?
Not bad for a monkey dude. What are you talking about? What? Who are you? Meanwhile, Usopp completely freaked out with Chopper on his head, and Nami looked closer.
Ah, what's that underneath? Oh, it's huge!
A large mouth approached the ship, as if it was a worm dangling off a fishing hook.
Okay, ha ha ha! Really? You're from the East Blue?
He smiled as Luffy nodded. That's right, dude. You really do look like a monkey.
Stop! You flatter me. Okay.
And the giant sea turtle chomped right into the shipwreck. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Wow, what a cliffhanger. Gonna end this on a cliffhanger, huh? This was pretty fun. Closed out the Alabasta arc. Moved on to a whole new adventure with a whole new crew and a whole new world rule. Oh man! But the first and foremost thing is, of course, closing out the Alabasta arc. As you can see, Princess Vivi was ready to address everybody, while Luffy and the crew were fighting the Marines. She about to deliver her speech and so on. It's pretty simplistic. Like he didn't, Oda-san's team didn't overdo the art where Princess Vivi's on the balcony, but I felt like the panels were a little too much with Luffy and the crew fighting the Marines. It was very hard to tell what was what. It was very, very tough there. So it's kind of like a little here and there and whatnot, but she delivered her speech as we get to see the whole entire kingdom, all the places that Luffy and the crew been to. Koza listening to the speech, everyone at the casino, the king. She reflected on the whole entire situation, which really was drawing inspiration for everybody. Until, of course, it turns out that Igarapoi was the one standing in her place where the speech was supposed to be told. However, her speech was being told elsewhere. Which, of course, Luffy and the crew was waiting, and unfortunately, she didn't show up. Luffy really had faith that she would show up. He really wanted her in the crew, and I would have liked for her to be on the crew. But it's totally understandable, the situation. I mean, she's got to rule a kingdom. And the thing is that she did show up, and, well, she had to reject it because she knew she had a responsibility. What character growth? That was very good character growth. We saw her, being an infiltrator. Well, when we were first introduced to her, she was totally a bad guy, her and Igarapoi. But then we find out that, she was actually a spy. And then we watched her grow from being naive, as Luffy, called her out on it that day, to this, where she did want to go, but she had to take responsibility and look out after the kingdom. After everything it's been through, they needed their princess and their king, of course, to make sure everything runs smoothly and so on. you know, and that was a hard decision for her, of course. But very good. Such good character development. Sometimes you get that with these side characters in One Piece, and it's just great. But you know, she made the declaration that she loves the kingdom, so she can't really leave them, which is pretty cool. But one of the most touching things was that she said that the next time they swing around, if you know, they would call her the ship, their shipmate. Will you call me your shipmate if they ever see each other again? That made Luffy happy. Problem is, the Marines are right there listening to the whole thing. They're listening to the whole thing, and unfortunately, Nami was absolutely correct. They had to keep quiet. They had to keep quiet because they couldn't have the Marines rain down. Alabasta had already gone through enough, and they're already now suspicious that she's in cahoots with them, conspiring with them. But what a shot this is. I'm definitely putting that in the thumbnail. I love it. I love that. This is a pretty excellent shot where they raise their arms up. The X was the assurance if should the wrapping thing failed. Who was it? It was Bon Clay, right? Yeah, Bon Clay was the one who changed shape, and that was the original plan. I believe she came up with that, if I remember right, because she told him what Bon Clay was able to do, and she was the one who came up with the idea that they, wear the bandages so they could tell. But as an extra measure, and they said they did an extra measure, and we never saw what that extra measure was. And there it is. It was that X mark. It looks like it was a tattoo or something. But she and Karoo still had theirs and raised it up. So even though they couldn't verbally set it, they made sure she knows that they accept her. And that was such a touching thing. And a great way to end the arc. That was a nice end to the arc, Such a beautiful end. She can't be with the pirates right now because she is taking responsibility for her kingdom. But she definitely is gonna give them quarter should they show up. And anything that they need, given that they saved the whole kingdom, they could be able to take with no problem if they need to resupply and such. They got safe passage with Alabama. That's why I was like pointing out that Luffy becoming one of the 7 warlords would make total sense, even though that's not really the key. He wants the One Piece, which is his real goal and everything. But I could see him being one of the 7 warlords, if they offered it to him. Right now they can't because, crime. He's still considered a criminal. But if he were, to have accepted being one of the 7 warlords of the sea, I would have accepted that progression. I would have accepted that. I wouldn't see it as out of the way or anything. It makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? He's not going around pillaging villages. He's still stealing. Technically speaking, he's still stealing from time to time. You know what I'm saying? But it's just thievery. You know what I'm saying? Just petty larceny. It's not actual pillaging and destruction or anything, because he's spending more time saving towns and villages all around the world. But he is still a pirate, and piracy is still a crime. And I'm glad that they're still keeping up with that. I'm glad that Oda, at this point in the story, has kept it up. Very curious, where he's at chapter 1133, but still, it's the consistency is well maintained. You know what I'm saying? And since they know I think he did make his declaration to the Marines he's going after the One Piece, and they can't allow that to happen, which makes perfect sense. That's something they don't want. I think that's considered, because that leads to Jolly Roger. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want the pirates to go, to be united under a pirate king. So, in every sense of the word, that's Luffy's big crime. Becoming king of the pirates and uniting all the pirates together, that's bad for in the eyes of the Marines. And yeah, it is true. It is true. And as for our next chapter, we get a quick look at Hina angry at losing Luffy and the pirates, and we pretty much get a coda episode here. Watching everything that has happened, reflecting on the whole entire arc here. We got the smiling crab, Toto, happy that the town is now rebuilt and thriving again. Everybody's now digging for that Yuba water that he discovered. You know, the casinos closed down and nobody cared. They want to make the canal so they could get water around. You know, and yeah, Pell, of course, stayed dead. Thank you. Although I have a feeling he'll be back somehow. Somehow, you know. Everybody's just having a good time. And of course, we get a preview of the next chapter. Somebody got healed up. Of course, turned out to be Nico Robin. She's the one who got healed up. And Vivi, of course, watching everyone on the horizon, you know, escaping the Marines, the whole entire battle. Not much she can do, but she knows they're going to make it out. Very touching. Very touching. As she rides off into the sunset. I don't know if we're going to see her again. I would like to see her again later down the line. But of course, we got Smoker and Tashigi having their little conversation, reflecting on the whole thing, on the whole situation, you know. But, yeah, Smoker basically made it clear to Tashigi that they'll deal with Luffy and the crew another time. Just let it go. And Tashigi learned. Tashigi had her own little growth. You know, she saw the gray of the world, and she agreed, and just chilled and drank coffee with Captain Smoker, and just moved on to their next issue. Worry about Luffy later. Of course, the crew is sad that they don't have her, but you know what? Zolo's right. They should have kidnapped her. If you couldn't stand to leave her, then you should have kidnapped her. At least fake the kidnapping. You know, add kidnapping a princess to the whole thing. Even though the king would know the truth, you know, that Vivi went on her own accord, you know. But it would have also given her plausible deniability. And they could have the Marines could have chalked it up of they brainwashed Princess Vivi. Of course, that would increase the bounty on Luffy and the crew, but at least they would have had Princess Vivi. But I'm glad that they didn't go there. The princess made her decision and left it at that, and that's good. That's good. You know what I'm saying? Don't need to push it. But they get a new crewman. It's Nico Robin, which I gotta say, nice introduction, of proper introduction. Look at the wind flapping the hair. It's pretty cool. I like that. And she's got crazy power with the arms stretching out and everything. That devil fruit she ate. She made herself right at home too. And of course we get a flashback of how she survived, because technically she's supposed to be dead. But of course Shonen's got a shonen. Nico lives. As we were treated to a flashback within a flashback. Stop that. Stop flashbacking the flashback. Flashbacking the flashback. So it turned out Nico was on a quest to find the poneglyphs because she's trying to find the whole history. She's trying to record the whole history. As it turns out, she's an archaeologist, but she was deemed a criminal as a child. But leave it to Luffy not letting either her or the king die. You know, she provided the poison, so she saved his life. Then he saves her life. I don't think she really understands how IOUs work, but she's like, yeah, you're responsible. You're responsible for me living. But of course, you know, Luffy just let her be part of the crew. She's like, you're gonna let me be part of the crew. It's your responsibility. You didn't let me die. But yeah, she spoke with Usopp, who gave her the interrogation, and made it very clear that she was an archaeologist at 8, and they put a bounty on her head for some weird reason. So that's gonna be interesting to see down the line. Exactly why they put a bounty on an 8-year-old's head. It's very weird, but it's very interesting. But she is an archaeologist, and she spent 20 years hiding with outlaw gangs and such. especially being that she was a kid in the high scenes. It was just too dangerous. How she managed to survive as a kid, I don't know. Especially being female, you know. I'm sure she probably came across female pirates and such, perhaps, but they're not elaborating or anything. Her skill is assassination. Obviously, her hands just pop up out of nowhere. And just, you know, she could just grab your heart and be like, Kano. Just like that. But nevertheless, she's got a skill set. And most importantly, and we get to see that later down the line, where her skills, just what kind of skills she's bringing to the crew, which is pretty damn good. But she had no problem coaxing the crew, giving Nami the gems and all that stuff. It's pretty funny, you know, really, really funny. But then we got this crazy shot. I don't know. I mean, I got so many choices for thumbnails. It's crazy. But let me tell you something. This is freaking impressive. This is impressive. Anything man can imagine is a possibility in reality. Yeah, Oda really has a great imagination. Brought this whole ship down from the sky like that, ready to land on Amerigo. Just look at how well detailed it is. With the torn masts, the broken debris. You can see the portholes and the cannons, the head. Everything is just so well detailed. And then look at the Amerigo. I tell you, the scaling, you know, he got good with the scaling. His scaling was just a little off in the early set, you know, in the early chapters, but now it's really, really well laid out. And just look at it. Look at the Amerigo, how detailed it is. You still see the eyes on the prow and the head. You can see Luffy's Jolly Roger on the mast, as well as the smaller mast with the stripes on it, and all the little things on there. Like, man, the attention to detail. You know, when Oda wants that money shot, he gets that money shot. Oda-san really likes to get those money shots, and he does a good job on that. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, you know, it rained dead, it rained carcasses and all kinds of stuff. And that's when we get to meet our next pirate, Masira, which is a pretty cool design. Here we got Nico showing her skills as the archaeologist, doing forensics and such, and was able to show that these holes were not the result of weapon damage, but of surgery. Which of course, Chopper then comes in as the doctor and explains how the surgical process works and everything. You know, this is a tough task for Oda because he's increasing the size of the crew, and we gotta be able to see their talents in action. And he's so far doing a good job with these moments, showing Nico and Chopper shine, because they're not, even though they can fight, they're not fighters. You know, they're not fighters like Sanji and Solo are. What's also interesting is that we got a new world rule, and it turns out that there are sky islands, because as we can see, back to this panel again, the needle is pointing up. As you can see it right over here, it's pointing up, and it's always going to point up, because that's how the Grand Line operates. It turns out there's a sea, and I don't know if it's a literal sea or just a sky sea, but she says there's a sea in the sky with an island on it. And it's confusing. It's weirding out. It's weirding out Nami, of course. You know, it's something that they never experienced before. I'm very curious though, because over at East Blue, did nobody teach these guys what goes on in the Grand Line? Even if they're not going, like, do they not teach them in history books or something? It's kind of, I don't know what it is. I mean, I know that the Discovery is amazing and everything, and I guess because they're young, you know, they're still young, they're like older teens, young adults, you know, they're learning the world and everything. But considering that that most of them have been surrounded by pirates, you know, you would think that they would know some of this stuff, a little bit more of the Grand Line, rather than just legends and such. I find it very odd. You know, Chopper, I can understand. He was not out in sea. But Nami had been out to sea. Sanji had been out to sea. Solo goes out to sea hunting down pirates. Luffy, I could see being shocked. But Luffy has been surrounded by Shanks, and Shanks would have told him something about the Grand Line. You know what I'm saying? It's very. I just find it a little weird that they're acting shocked that such things exist. Maybe I don't know. I mean, that's fine. They didn't know that there was, but I don't know. It feels weird that they didn't have at least a basic baseline knowledge of just how insane the Grand Line can be, and you know what I mean, like the rumors and such. I don't know, but I'm willing to let it slide only because they are serving as the reader avatars and having us be caught in the wonder of the Grand Line and what they're seeing out there, which is pretty nuts, very very nuts. But yeah, Luffy and Usopp was able to go through the ship while it was still floating before it sunk, and got a map of Skypiea. I don't know if that's our destination, but if it is, it's going to be interesting to see, because if you see the map, there's a couple of islands along with a big island. There's a floating octopus, floating serpent, I guess. Mountains, volcanoes, everything you would expect from an island, palm trees. I guess a giant. It looks like a land of giants. I mean, that'd be crazy if it's the land of giants again. I wonder, is that where our giant friends came from in the previous arc? If so, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if that's the case. I wouldn't mind visiting the giants again. But hilarious. I love the Usopp's inventions, man. The barrels. It's pretty funny. And also, good on Oda, showing that wildlife is always active, having that giant fish eat the pterodactyl. Keep giving character to the Grand Line. Keep giving it character. It's always great when you give land and locations character. It's always, it really helps flesh out everything. But yeah, they make their way down, and we meet our next pirate, Masira, and the monkey pirates. Love the ship design. It's all banana themed. Really cool. That is so fun. It really is fun. I mean, Oda comes up with some really fun pirate schemes here. It's pretty cool. And I like that he looks almost like Donkey Kong. He almost looks like Wreck-It Ralph, honestly. I wonder if this came out when Wreck-It Ralph happened. Did it? No, right? Dang, I don't know when Wreck-It Ralph happened. I don't know, but it gave me Wreck-It Ralph vibes, or did they draw inspiration from Masira for Wreck-It Ralph? I don't know. I know the inspiration is Donkey Kong. I know, don't even, but it's just funny. I really like the design. It's not very piratey. It's very 90s. You could tell this was done in the 90s because of that shirt. I like it. I like his design. It's very fun. And he's a pretty cool character, but he's also dangerous, and he's a salvager. He's a salvager. No, breaks is something that that, like Masira, I don't do either. Oh man. But we come to our last chapter in the set, where we go down into the ocean and actually explore everything while Masira is being duped. Big giant crane. Merry Christmas. Big giant crane clutching onto the ship, raising it up, bringing down the prow with the monkey. Oh man, genius! This is so inventive, so imaginative. That little statement before when the ship was falling down, that little statement that was made, it holds true. Oda-san really has great imagination. you know. And of course, you know, the Luffy and the crew are exploring. They've a lot of broken up stuff, but yeah, Masira decided to dive down. He decided to dive down to take on Luffy, only to chill with them. He breaks through and he chills with them. But we get to see his power because he one punch man that serpent. But yeah, they just chill and the turtle eats them. So there's our cliffhanger. So the Alabasta arc. Let's talk about the Alabasta arc. It was good, but it had its hiccups. Most especially that scene with Crocodile monologuing like Dr. Evil. It padded out the time. Very annoying. Very frustrating. You know, very frustrating when they do that. But hopefully he doesn't do that again. Characters living, I can't stand it. Shonen's always got a shonen. You know, stop doing that, shonen. Stop making characters live. You know, they let them die like Pell. Great character development with Phoebe. You know, she went through one hell of a hero's journey and became the princess she's meant to be. You know, and the crazy thing is that she always she never abandoned being the princess. You know, everything she was doing everything that she was like a princess, being responsible, trying to save her kingdom and everything. You know, and even at the end, she stood her ground to be the princess. She didn't abandon to be a pirate, but she still wanted to be a pirate, and that was so touching when the crew acknowledged that she was one of the crew, without letting the Marines know. And that was so touching. And this new little adventure that the escapade they got in with Masira is pretty fun. And I just love the fact that Luffy just started making friends with him outright. It's pretty hilarious. And now they're about to be eaten. But this was Oda-san's biggest arc. And it was a great travel around the whole kingdom. You know, we saw all sorts of locales. The fights were fantastic. Some of them dragged out a little too long. Some of them went by too quick. And not enough time to enjoy it. The characters were still fun in the end. You know, a lot of inventiveness, casinos, crocodiles. That rain could be made with seeds. I liked it despite its flaws, and it was flawed. And I could see that this was Oda-san's first attempt at a very big arc. And I'm hoping that the next big arc he does, he would have learned from some of those mistakes. No villain monologuing, no killing off characters and then bringing them back to life kind of thing, and so on. You know. But we won't know until they get out of the mouth of this turtle. So. Who knows? All right. So, head on over to BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links to the book in the descriptions down below, along with links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Thank you for buying the products. Thank you for the patronage. Enjoy it. And thanks to those who buy the book, The Impossible Man, and make YouTube videos out of it. I look forward to seeing those. And you can join me on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to hanging out with you. So, until the next set of chapters, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.